Check out the latest Quick Hitter from the Pure Hoops podcast as BJ Armstrong and I break down two huge moves in the Western Conference on trade deadline day that could affect the balance of power as we head to the playoffs. How does Aaron Gordon help Denver, and how does he mesh with Nikola Jokic and, of course, Michael Porter Jr., who's been playing very well with the big fella in recent weeks?
Out of all of the trades that happened today, and there were plenty, and we're going to touch them all, I'm most excited about this Denver Nuggets trade. Why? The Denver Nuggets lost two very important players a year ago to a team that made it to the Western Conference Finals. They lost Jeremy Grant and they lost Mason Plumlee.
Plumdog.
Those two players were pivotal to their success a year ago. Plumlee, with his athletic ability as a 4-5 rim runner, block a little shots, do a little bit of this, do a little bit of that. And then Jeremy Grant, who last year we said was evolving into one of the top defensive players. And then a year later, he's averaging over 25 points a game and looks like arguably he's playing at an all-star level. Okay, if he does this again next year with a few more wins, he'll be in the all-star game. I think the Denver Nuggets said the following: we have to replace those two players. And they did it, to me, beautifully. JaVale McGee, who gives them superior rim protection with his length and size and what he's able to do. He plays vertical basketball because they have excellent passers with Jokic, Jamal Murray, and company. And he can play that game, run up and down the court. So I think you check. Then you say Aaron Gordon and Jeremy Grant. This is terrific for them. Now, I think this puts them right where they want to be. I'm excited for this team. I'm excited for their youth, their age.
So real quick, you're saying Gordon replaces a lot of what Grant was giving to them.
It's a duplication, okay? And at the very least, it's the same. And some may argue he could be just as good or maybe better. Some people may say, give or take. I mean, Jeremy Grant, up until this year, we didn't know he could score like this.
No, we didn't see the toolbox.
I think this is a terrific pickup for them. And what it says in the Western Conference is that they are all in on we can win the Western Conference.
Right now.
They're not doing it for next year. They're not doing it for 3 years. We're all in right now. So we have a player that we feel we can match up. We're not saying we can stop him, but we can match up with Kawhi Leonard. We can match up with Paul George. We can match up with LeBron James. We can match up with these athletes. We have length. If we see Rudy Gobert, if we see Anthony Davis, if we see Joel Embiid or whoever else we're going to play, we can rim protect. And the key to all of this is that all of those players, JaVale McGee, Aaron Gordon, and Jokic, can play together because of Jokic's ability to pass the ball. I think this is going to be critical for them because Jokic, if there's one part of his game, when you get to playoff basketball, you have to have your back line. They have to be able to defend. And if you're not a lockdown defender as a 5, you have to, at the very least, have rim protection. Now, I can play Jokic because Jokic can guard the perimeter players if there's a stretch 4. And this allows JaVale McGee to protect the basket. I think this is going to be a tremendous, tremendous help for them as they go down in the playoffs. And I think it's going to allow them to play with size, which Jokic is big, but Jokic is not, he can't play above the rim. So
size, length, verticality, you talk about
Charles
it all the time.
Yeah. And this reminds me, and I'll say this last thing. This reminds me of how the Dallas Mavericks won their championship.
With Tyson Chandler.
With Dirk Nowitzki. With Tyson Chandler and Dirk Nowitzki. Because now this allows Jokic to play the 4, and I can rim protect. That's the key. I can rim protect in the last 4 minutes of a basketball game.
Big.
I can rim protect. Okay, so now I can switch. If Jokic is switched on a point guard, Jokic, just don't let him shoot a 3. Force him to drive, and we will defend the basket now. So to me, this is a critical move for them as they now can defend and get a stop. I think this allows them and Coach Malone and staff to say, we know that we can get a stop in the last 4 minutes of a game if a team has an excellent guard like the Brooklyn Nets, like the Portland Trailblazers, like the Golden State Warriors, like the Utah Jazz, because they all have guards who can penetrate. So I really like this move. I'm really excited for them.
One other thing that I really like here for Denver, I'm a big Will Barton fan, and
Yes.
As much as Gary Harris was a good teammate there, he hadn't been the same player due to injuries the last year and a half, and this really clarifies the role of Will Barton on the team. So I think this helps them. And you said obviously they're going for it now. Aaron Gordon has another year left on the deal after this season. So the Nuggets are in this moment in time now where they're going for it, but you also know, okay, you've got Aaron Gordon for more than a rental, and he could be a big part of the future depending on what they want to do with this roster and what kind of playoff run they make. So the next guy that we're going to talk about, he affects winning, not to the level of a Bill Russell or a Shaquille O'Neal or a Kobe Bryant or a Magic Johnson, but he affects winning, and that is Rajon Rondo going back to Los Angeles to the Clippers to assume floor general duties. Lou Williams returns to where I believe he's from, in Atlanta, Georgia. Or he's from Georgia, I should say. And 2 second-round picks also going to the Hawks and cash. What does Rondo do for these Clippers? Because we've talked about it. They've been absent that lead guard. So playoff Rondo, now a Clipper.
The former Celtic Rajon Rondo.
Man, you're flashing me back to Sunday afternoons,
Rajon
national TV.
Rondo has, when you say grit, when you say toughness, when you say all of the things, the one thing that analytics can't measure, Eric, is heart. Rajon Rondo can play for me any day of the week and twice on Sundays. What does he bring to this Clipper franchise? He brings a championship caliber pedigree. That young kid had confidence in himself before we knew what confidence was, or he had when I remember he took over the reins there in Boston. He had undeniable, he believes in himself, and that exudes confidence in everyone else around him. What is he going to bring? Eric, the LA Clippers have desperately needed a player who can organize the game. Okay? The game in the playoffs will get organized. It's going to slow down, and it's going to get organized, or it needs to be organized. Rajon Rondo can do that with the best of them. He's done that from day one. He's done that ever since I've ever watched him play. He is a human organizer. Okay, so I think Kawhi Leonard and Paul George games, they should be much better than what they are, because now he can relieve them of ball handling duties. His toughness, and we both know that Rajon Rondo has no problem speaking his mind, which the Clippers, in my opinion, they need. They need a leader. Okay, Kawhi Leonard is a marvelous basketball player. He's arguably one of the, let's say, top 5 players in the NBA. But he's quiet. Paul George is a top, let's just say, 15 player. Let's just be very conservative. Rajon Rondo, he's probably not a top 15 or top 20 player. And I think everyone would agree with that. But his leadership is right there with the best of them. His knowledge of the game is right there with the best of them. I think the coaching staff now will be better. Those players on the floor will be better. And if you're going to win a championship, everyone understands this. I don't care if you're in high school, grade school, middle school, pro, college, G League. We need truth tellers in our life. Rajon Rondo is a truth teller.
We need truth tellers in our life. That is spot
Rajon
on.
Rondo
That is spot on.
is a truth teller to the highest degree. He has leadership. And now this team is a serious contending team because they can win on the road now. They can win on the road now because Rondo has persistence. He will be persistent in every way. So great pickup by the Clippers.
So if you're the Clippers now, you have 3 different players at that position who all are very different in their own way.
Who's this?
Rajon Rondo, Pat Beverly, and Reggie Jackson. So where do Jackson and Beverly... Like to me, it doesn't matter if Rondo starts or Rondo's your guy coming off the bench. He's going to play meaningful minutes. But how does this work?
Here's what's interesting about the NBA now. It's very hard to play 4 against 5. It's hard to play 4 against 5. Okay? The last team, in my opinion, right off the top that I can think of that won 4 against 5 were the Detroit Pistons with Ben Wallace. Where you really...
Right. Well, 4 against 5 on the offensive end, but a monster on the defensive end.
Yes. Okay? When I say 4 against 5, playing where the other guy basically, you didn't have to worry about him in some scoring capacity. And the reason I'm saying that is because Patrick Beverly right now, I'm not sure where he's at as a lead guard in today's game. Defensively, off the charts. But you got to play that position now with the ability to play screen roll, play downhill, and be able to score. You got to do it. The other, what's the other kid's name?
Reggie Jackson.
Reggie Jackson. I think Reggie Jackson will be the backup. I think I think he will be a backup, right? I don't know what they're going to do with Luke Kennard or what have you, but I think they have him there just in case. Okay? So I think it would be Rajon Rondo will get the majority of those minutes. Depending on the game, Patrick Beverly will defend in that backup role or what have you. And then Reggie Jackson, depending on the game, will be there if Patrick Beverly, for whatever reason, he had some health issues and he's been hurt a lot lately. So I think that's how it would kind of play itself out. But we'll see. But I think Rajon Rondo, they're going to have to build up his stamina to where he can play 30 to 35 minutes. Okay, which was a different role for him than he had a year ago.
You think he's going to play that many? You think he's going to?
I think they need him to play that many because I don't think they don't have enough. I've been saying this for 2 years or ever since Kawhi Leonard got there. Leonard, we know Kawhi Leonard can score with the very best of the of players in this league if he has guards, Van Fleet and Kyle Lowry, to get him the ball in a scoring position. I didn't see that when he got to the Clippers. That was the one thing that was missing. So
they had to do all the playmaking.
I don't see another player on their roster that can do what Rajon Rondo can do.
No,
I don't see it. So
agreed.
I think Rajon Rondo will have to get himself in a place where he has to play 30 to 35 minutes at this age. I don't know where his body is at, but certainly if he could play 30, 35 minutes, it increases your chances to winning a championship because that was the whole idea when those guys came on here.
Yeah, I mean, I think Pat Bev is going to have to be a situational stopper and pest out there for the opposing team. Safe to say we won't see Pat Bev and Rondo on the floor at the same time unless absolutely necessary.
I would pay to see that. I would love to see that. Eric, you should be if they put those two on the court with Kawhi Leonard and Serge Ibaka
and Paul George.
And
you're going to get stopped.
Not so much Paul George, because you like gritty. You want toughness and all that.
Yeah.
You and I should be Clipper fans if they just put Rajon Rondo and Patrick Beverley on the floor, because there's going to be a skirmish somewhere on the floor.
Oh yeah, but I would love
to see. Okay, this is what I would love to see. This is what I would love to see.
Okay.
I want to see the Clippers versus the Celtics and Marcus Smart on the floor with those three guys. I want a loose ball. And I want to see who's going to get it.
Yeah.
They'll be like, why are those two guys over there applauding a loose ball? Because you know what? You and I appreciate what those players.
But I'm just thinking back, like if you had like the teenage versions of these guys, right? Like in the NBA, no one's picking up full court and no one's jump trapping and doing that stuff. But can you imagine Rondo and Pat Bev just jump trapping people all over the place with Kawhi and Serge behind them?
Smart. And I just want to lose. I just want a game full of loose balls.
Just a street fight. Just a street fight. used to in New York, used to call it I used to say, you know what I want today to be? I want today to be a Third Avenue street fight. Just get after it. Just get after it.
And that's what. So Patrick Beverley, I expect Patrick Beverley and Rondo to play together. But because even though they are smaller guards, their heart.
Oh yeah.
And you know, and I remember when Patrick Beverley and those guys won a couple games off of the Warriors that year. Mm-hmm. Because of Patrick Beverley was just getting after people. He was fighting everybody.
Yeah, new level of crazy.
Yeah. So I love it. I want to see that. I think it would be good, and it would be great. I would pay to see that. I mean, that's just loose balls. I just throw loose balls.
I'm having flashbacks to you're on the baseline. Me and you are on the baseline. I'm on one lane line. You're on the other. Coach is in the middle, and he rolls it down the middle. And there's one rule. You both have to get on the floor for that ball. Whoever gets it, you're getting up. You're playing one-on-one from there. If one of you doesn't get on that ball, you're on that line, and you are running a double suicide right then and there on the spot. That's the type of thing I think about with Pat Bev and Rondo out there. We hope you enjoyed that quick hitter from the Pure Hoops podcast. Be sure to check out the full episode, dropping each and every Friday, presented by Pure Hoops Media. Stay pure.